Greetings, everybody. This is Serpentine 450. Oh, sorry about that. Greetings, everybody. This is Serpentine 451 here, and I'm hitting you with a whole bunch of videos this time round. First off, I'm going to be doing my top 4 Fate adaptations that I would like to see in the future. Because recently, Fate Extra Last Encore's anime adaptation was now unleashed to us for the Western audience, and I get to finally see my favorite saber in the series in anime form doing a very interesting adaptation of one of my favorite stories in all of the Fate franchise. But I mentioned that I wanted to do a top 4 list of 4 different stories in the Nasuverse, specifically centered around Fate, that I would love to see adapted in an anime or an OVA or even a movie, which would be really cool. And I chose 4 simply because I want to see these adaptations, and the number 1 is the one adaptation I want to see the most. So the number 4 pick for me would be the individual singularities for Fate Grand Order. Now, the way I see these in particular, much like how First Order was crafted, specifically into OVAs that would be easily collectible. So we have the first 7 singularities, that being Orleans. Oh, is it 6 or is it 7 or 8? I don't really recall. But you have Orleans, Septum, uh, Okeanos, I think it was in London, America, Camelot, Babylon, and then the final singularity that has you fight King Solomon. By the way, spoilers, sorry about that for all the NA players of Grand Order that don't want to be spoiled. But yeah, to have like individual OVAs be like have those stories be told in anime form would be very interesting, and having the same studio that did First Order would be very cool. And plus, it'd be kind of nice to see something along the lines of Grand Order getting adapted, like the Epic of Remnant in that same format, and then the Cosmos of the Lost Belts. That would be really cool too. So a lot more, but my primary focus is on the individual singularities of the first half of Fate Grand Order. That would be my number 4 pick. And then let's go into my number 3, which is Fate Extra CCC Foxtail. So, most people that know me, that know that I love the Fate franchise as much as I do, know that Nero here is my favorite saber of all time. And Fate Extra is my favorite thing in the greater Nasuverse, mostly connected to Fate. But having Fate Extra CCC Foxtail get an adaptation, like a proper adaptation. Last Encore is technically a reimagining or interpretation of the events of Fate Extra, if not a very weird continuation of Fate Extra's lore. But with Foxtail, the Servant Master pairing would be Hakano, of course, and Caster, which is Tomomo no Mai. And to have her be the protagonist servant and not have the protagonist servant be a class different from Saber would be very interesting to do. And plus, you would have a Saber as like the opponent. Plus, you can introduce a lot of the interesting elements that make CCC a very interesting game that we haven't gotten in the West yet, which we may never get, sad to say, but here's hoping for that. But anyway, my number 4 pick would be Fate Extra CCC Foxtail to get an adaptation. And what studio would I like to adapt it? If in all honesty, Studio Passion, who's doing the animation for High School DxD Hero, they would be perfect for this particular anime adaptation of a Fate series. And then we have my second pick. It would be Fate Strange Fake. Now, reading the manga, because originally Strange Fake is a light novel story, which primarily focuses on a false Holy Grail war taking place in America. The whole reason why I want to see this adapted is just to see Gilgamesh, Enkidu, and all these interesting characters that spun from the story. Like to see more of an exploration into the false and true servants in this story. Like we have Alcides, who is true archer, who is a version of Heracles that was tainted by the Grail Mud and became an Avenger / archer. And then you have Hippolyta, who is true writer, and then you have the Pale Rider, who is a false writer. You have a lot of interesting servants in both the false and true variety. And I think it'd be very interesting of an adaptation that for any studio to take on, most notably the studio that I want to have the ability to adapt this. I mean, Shaft did a pretty good job with adapting Last Encore. Strange Fake would be more up their alley in all honesty, or I would most likely prefer what would be a good studio? Studio Bones would be not a bad choice in the grand scheme of things for that particular for that particular story. But yeah, I would go with Strange Fake as my second choice. And then finally, my number one, and this is the most important one, and the one that I really want Ufotable to do, because right off the bat I want Ufotable to do this, is Fate Prototype Fragments of Blue and Silver, or Fragments of Sky Blue for some ungodly reason, is what people are calling it. But Fragments of Blue and Silver sounds much more interesting, at least to me. This is a adaptation of the light novel done by a different I forget the author's name, but she asked Nasu himself for advice on how to create certain characters, most notably my favorite writer in the series, that being Ramses II, or Ozymandias. And the reason why I love Ozymandias so much is from the story. And fun fact about Ozymandias, which I will do a Fate Index episode on him in the future, is that his creator, in the story that he was introduced in, she asked Natsu what qualities would make for an interesting king. And him being the king of kings, the pharaoh of Egypt, it was very interesting to have her ask Natsu for that particular interpretation of what a king should be. Kind of like how Gilgamesh is portrayed in the Natsu verse proper. And Ufotable would have done an amazing job with this particular adaptation, because you got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde as Berserker, you have the male version of King Arthur introduced in this story, you have Ozymandias, you have Brunhild, you have a lot of these interesting characters that could possibly make for a very interesting story, and I think it would be one of the better adaptations that the Fate franchise will ever have in terms of anime. So that's primarily my list. Which one of these four is your favorite? Is there a Fate adaptation that you would like to see that I missed? Tell me about it in the comment section below. But also, tell me in the comment section your favorite servant out there in the greater Nasuverse. Or is there anything in the Nasuverse you want me to talk about or see? Because I'm planning to actually watch all of the Kero no Kyokai films, and I think a buddy of mine would really like my opinion on them once I actually see them. So, with that said, this has been Serpentine451, saying I'll see you soon in the next video.